Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District, a DC sports channel talking about all the great DC sports teams. Today, we're going to be talking about the Washington Wizards. I'm Nathan Perry. We've got Trev and Stoner with me as well. As always, there's been some rumors going around this week with Deni being a possible trade away and Jerami Grant being the trade target for the Wizards. What do you guys make of that? Do you guys like a Deni for Jerami trade?
Stoner,
you want me to go first? Okay. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Why would you trade the 9th pick just last year? Why would you trade him for a guy who is basically the same type of player that Deni is? He's much more accomplished, but you're not gaining anything by bringing in a large salary and a guy with an expiring contract, although he does have another year after this year, for a guy you're trying to develop who's like 20 years old, 21 years old, that you're trying to develop for the future.
Just turned 21.
That makes no sense at all. And I can't believe the rumor is out there. I don't believe the rumors. That's for sure. Because it just doesn't make any sense.
Trev,
right,
Trev, do you agree? Are you with them?
Nah, Stoner, I am not with you. You get rid of Deni Avdija. You got to get rid of him. Okay? you got to get rid of him now. Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't. Why? Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of answered that in your own statement. Jerami Grant is more accomplished.
Much more.
He plays the same position and style as Deni.
Mm-hmm.
You think Deni is a development player. Well, it sounds like Washington is in position to win now, or at least succeed now. So if you have a chance to move somebody, your ninth, I don't care if it's 9th round, 2nd round. If you can go get somebody who does the same thing as he does, that's more accomplished, like you said, and can also score the basketball probably a little bit better than Deni can, you do it.
Definitely.
Because the Wizards are hanging with these top teams. Yeah, some top teams are missing their top players, but hey, a game's a game, win's a win, loss is a loss. They're hanging with some of these top teams. Go ahead and get you some more firepower so you can have a seeding in the playoffs rather than do a play-in game and get disappointed year after year. It's a business. It's time to make some moves. Get rid of Deni Avdija. Bring on Jerami Grant. I'm all for the trade. Make it happen.
But you just drafted him with the 9th pick last year to develop him at 21 years old.
Well,
why would
Wes
you give
Unseld
that
didn't do that. Wes Unseld didn't do that.
Well, he's not the general manager either.
But he also wasn't the coach last year either.
Right. But Tommy Shepard drafted him, and Tommy Shepard's still there.
But he's not coaching. So maybe Wes is like, hey, I understand you picked him 9th and he's got great defense, but he ain't cutting it. We gotta win now. We gotta get some more scoring since we have a hard time scoring the basketball. Jerami Grant can provide that. He's much more accomplished, like you said. Playoffs are coming. If we get there, Jerami Grant has a little bit more experience and knowledge with that, even though maybe he hasn't been to the playoffs as much, but he's more accomplished. Do it. Make the trade, brother.
He is a better scorer. He is a better scorer, but
the trade happened.
But I don't know that it's necessarily that's about the only thing you're really getting. So
we need to score.
Yes, there's probably better scores out there to get. I've watched a lot of Jerami Grant. You got to remember, a Thunder fan, so I've seen him. This is a player that I think most Washington fans will end up being disappointed with. This is not a player that I think Washington fans will end up being somebody who, 2 years, that expiring contract that Stoner mentioned is why you're going to end up getting Jerami Grant. It's a loaner for this year. It's a loaner for this year, and then you trade away the expiring contract next year.
Well, it's time,
maybe it's an impact. So I don't think that Washington, like you said, Trev, is in the position to make a run this season with Jerami Grant.
Not a run to like get an actual seed, not to be a play-in tournament seed.
But you don't give up a developmental player that way. Deni was very impressive on the defensive side of the ball, and he's shown some skills here.
Wes ain't got time for development, obviously.
Yeah, Wes does.
No, he doesn't.
He's a first-year coach.
He does.
He's got lots of.
He absolutely does.
It's time to go.
Looking over some of the stats here between the two, so Deni's in his second year, and he is. They are tracking very similarly in that level. So
he's young. He's like, get him out of here. It's time to 20, we want to win 21. Games. We're not trying to develop play. Like, if we want to do that, then why did we make all these blockbuster trades and go get Kuzma and Dinwiddie and stuff? We're obviously trying to make a little bit of noise in the East, be a little bit relevant. So why are we keeping this developmental 9th round pick from last year that has good defense? Cool.
9th overall pick. Yeah.
Oh, same thing. He can go on a younger team that's rebuilding and help that. But the Wizards are kind of in like, let's succeed now mode. Let's win some games and stop being mediocre a little bit. Let's get a little bit better. Go get Jerami Grant. And who knows who else is available? Maybe he's the best option for what we're looking for that's available. So do it. Pull the trigger. Do it. If not, you'll be sitting at 500 rest of the year.
I'm not opposed to trading Deni for a quality player that Washington can keep on the roster for the long term. I like Deni. Denny's one of my – I liked him last year. I wanted to see what he could do as a playmaker. But if you can get a high caliber player for Washington in return for Deni, that's fine. Getting you're packaging him with probably a couple other players to include Trez with the expiring contract there, maybe KCP. You've got some options as far as the Wizards. You got to get better than Jerami Grant, though. I'm not trying to knock Jerami Grant. He is doing.
He's a 20-point a game scorer.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
20 points, 4-point rebounds, 2 assists. His first 16.7. He's a good player. I'm not saying that he's not a good player. He will also be very disappointing to Washington fans.
He was the guy in Oklahoma City, bro. He was
3 years in Oklahoma City to watch this guy.
Because he's not the guy. That's not his role. He's a role player. He's an off the ball. Like, he's not.
He's going to be the guy here. You think he's going to be over Beal? You think he's going to be over Dinwiddie?
He's over Deni. He's over Deni, which is why we need to bring him in here. So, because you need experience, and you experience now if you want to win these games, if you want to be relevant. Deni has got to go. He's just got to go, man. I'm sorry. He's just not producing offensive side of the ball.
How about this, Trev?
To win games. 20 points a game. You can take pressure off of Beal and Whitty. You make the trade.
Let me ask you this, though, Trev. Okay.
Yes.
I like Jerami Grant. I'm not with Nathan on this. Nathan says he would disappoint. I don't think he would. I think Jerami,
guys, I'll tell you what.
Jerami Grant.
I've actually had to watch him play day in and day out.
You know what Jerami Grant has done in his career?
What?
He's done this.
Bingo.
He's gotten better.
Again, I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he's a bad player.
He's a piece.
Lit up in the comments for people thinking.
He's 27 years old. It's not like he's in his 30s.
Exactly.
He's in his just reaching his prime. So you know what he's going to do after this?
What?
He's going to keep getting better and better.
So why the hell would you
listen,
not make the trade?
So listen, Trev, this is what I'm saying. You can package something for Jerami Grant. Deni should not be part of that package. That's what I'm saying. You can package guys that are veterans that are pretty good players. The guys that we've talked about, the KCPs, the Trez, guys like that. You don't get rid of a guy you just drafted.
Yes, you do.
For
the
somebody
business.
Who's not, for somebody,
I have to agree with Trev on this one.
Not
like if you think Jerami Grant's the dude, then you can give him
not for somebody who is not going to put you over the top.
Oh my god!
If you want to trade Deni for Sabonis in Indiana, now come talk to me.
Time out. Here we go.
A multi-all-star defensive stud.
Did it maybe ever occur that Deni was picked way too high at 9? Do you ever occur to that? Maybe he was picked. I think he was picked 9. He was picked way too high, bro. 9th.
I don't think he
NBA,
was.
Way too high. That's why you think you should get a high caliber player, because he was selected 9th. He was selected too high.
But he's also playing to that level of a 21-year-old who is progressing.
but Jerami Grant's 27, accomplished, and still progressing. So why are you want to hang on the youth crowd to progress when
because
you can get a veteran presence that can help you win now?
You need your future. He's not going to put you over the top.
Bro,
Jerami Grant is not going to put you over the top.
This trade is not about over the top or the future.
So what's it for then? So why bother?
Season. They're relevant this season. They want to make the playoffs as a real seed and not a play-in seed. So they're going to get somebody like Jerami Grant, who is a role player veteran that can help with the other veterans and take pressure off of Dinwiddie, Beal, KCP. He's another scoring option, which we lack. All these good defenders we have cannot score the ball. How are we supposed to win if all they can do is play defense and we can't outscore these teams who can score 100 points a night? We just kept up with the Nets without KD. If they had KD, we're blown out. So now we get Jerami Grant to help with the 20 points. That's 20 more points a game. We can hang with the big guys.
Well, it doesn't work that way. It's not like he comes in and you win 139 to 119.
No, but I'm just saying it help.
I get what you're saying.
Little addition and subtraction there.
Doesn't help for like the long term, but this trade specifically is for now.
But they're not in that mode.
They're not in the win now mode. This isn't a 4th or 5th seed trying to make that next push. This is a 9th seed.
Yeah, and they're trying to make the push to a 6th or 5th. That's why
you not make the cost of your future.
Don't make short-term deals that way.
Deni is not your future.
Deni is your future.
What's his PPG right now? What's his PPG right now?
7
points per game. That's trash. Get him out of here.
It's his second year.
You know what?
I don't
care.
Did
you know what, Trev?
Wait, hang on. If you pick them 9th, why is he averaging 7 points a year if you picked them 9th a year ago?
Because he's building into that role.
Then why did you pick them 9th? If you want to build, Ron Rivera, you don't pick somebody
over 40 minutes. Over 40 minutes, it would be 12 points, which is again tracking about the same as Jerami Grant was. The per is about the same. Like there
was when he was a rookie.
When he was a second-year player. This is what I'm saying. If they're tracking the same,
they're not.
Why would you mortgage your future?
This season.
Nobody is. You are. Nobody else is.
This is a 9th seed.
This trade is specifically for this season. It's not for the future. You do it to improve now. If you don't improve your team now, you won't make the playoffs.
They're the 8th seed currently, by the way.
Right. All right. That's what Jerami Grant's going to help you do is get to the postseason this year.
So he gets them to the 6th seed.
Yes.
Okay. Listen.
Okay.
He gets them to the 6th seed, and they get beat in the first round. And then you don't have Deni to progress for your future. Next thing you know, you got to get rid of Jerami Grant. So what good is a 6th seed? You're building towards a 1 seed. You're building towards a championship.
Past the Deni thing, okay? What we're saying now is you get to the 6th seed. Hold on, Trev. You get to the 6th seed. You lose your first round playoff series, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So you're picking high in the first round, okay? All right. You're probably not gonna. You're probably looking at being in that play-in late. One of those. Maybe 6 through 9 again. For the next season. So you're looking at possibly having to trade away Jerami Grant next year because he has an expiring contract.
What if you don't? What if it performs so well you re-sign to an extension and you get rid of somebody else? That can also be a possibility. Just because he didn't flourish in Oklahoma City doesn't mean he can't do it.
I didn't say he didn't flourish. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying that he would be disappointing for a lot of Washington fans.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
You can't say that because we want to win.
You can't say that he would be disappointing if he came.
Yeah,
you can't say that. You have to
assume that he's going to say it.
I know, but that means you think he's disappointing. If you think our fan base is going to think he's disappointing, that means we aren't expecting anything.
No, you have to assume that the player that comes here is going to perform to the level that he played at
And
otherwise.
Jerami Grant
You can't just
will.
say,
to be
that he's
fair,
gonna
in
suck
his
when he
defense,
plays.
Change of scenery.
and no
help.
one's and our YouTube comments again are going to light me up with Jerami Grant.
Yeah, this is
defense
going to
here.
be on you this time, brother.
His second season in Oklahoma City, he only started one game, so he played in 81. It was his third season that he finally saw something, but overall he just didn't have the impact that a lot of players. He was always this exciting player to watch, and he was always a name that people talked about as, he's ready to make that next step. He's ready to make that next step. Maybe here in Detroit, it looks like he's finally made that next step where, if you look at his time in Denver, he went 12 points, per game in Denver to Detroit, 22 points per game. This year, he's averaging 20 points per game. So he's finally made that next step here in his 10th season.
I don't think is it his 10th? Maybe it's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Long.
Okay, it's his ninth season.
Okay. But he's also a guy who was picked in the second round who there wasn't these great expectations for it. So what he has done is been kind of under the radar and unexpected, but now he's hitting his prime. So the expectation level in Oklahoma City was not that he was supposed to be this superstar. He just developed as he went along and he got better and better. But I just don't think you mortgage your future for that. And I would like to say, for the record, and I'm going to say it, the idiot who is putting this rumor out there to begin with needs to delete his account and never speak of the Wizards again when this trade does not happen. Because he said it was supposed to happen ASAP, and that the reason he didn't play that much in the last game, the game before Brooklyn, was because he was getting ready to be traded. And the coach from Israel told this guy personally. That's a bunch of hooey, and that dude, I want to say other words, that dude needs to delete his account and never talk about the Wizards again.
Hey, Stoner,
because it's insane that people say that.
What if it happens? Yeah. What are you going to say? You going to get back on here and apologize for that?
Retract,
100%.
Okay.
100% I would apologize, but I won't need to, so don't worry about it.
Second thing, if Tommy Shepard was this great GM and he picked Deni 9th last year, yes, I'm back on Deni because that's who we're talking about.
Okay.
And they're willing to make him available this season. That should tell you something what they think about Deni, regardless of his own court play.
He's not available. That's the point. Only person who said he's available is some idiot in San Francisco or wherever he is.
Deni is available for
player. They could trade Bradley Beal tomorrow if they want to. Everybody's available.
Well, in that case, but you're saying
you
if
even
Tommy's
said yourself
such a great
if they went for like Sabonis, you're all for it.
Well, Sabonis is a difference maker. Jerami Grant is not a difference maker.
He's
okay. See,
this is gold medal.
Light me up, and this is what I'm trying to say.
He has a gold medal,
and that's what I've been.
So does JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee
has
3 championship rings. JaVale McGee.
He's not a difference maker, Trev. These guys aren't difference makers. The only reason Jerami Grant has a gold medal is because Bradley Beal got sick and 100 other guys didn't want to play. Jerami Grant's not an Olympian. I mean,
Jerami Grant with a broken foot and a broken wrist is better at everything than Deni. Okay, it's just what it is.
He is.
If Deni was picked in the second round and had the same stats, would you be this upset about getting rid of Deni?
No, and he
wasn't. That's my point.
He
was picked too high. That's what Tommy's trying to tell you. Tommy's trying to tell you.
He was 19 years old when he was drafted. He was drafted
9th
for future.
Stoner, 9th. You draft in the future after
you draft
the 9th.
Upside.
You don't draft future.
Let's go look at the 2019 draft and see how many guys are superstars ahead of him.
They
guys
don't have
like
to be superstars, but
Obi
they
Toppin,
way better than 7 points a game and
Troy Halliburton.
Obi Toppin, considered probably Rookie of the Year candidate if you wanted to. He has an impact in New York. Clearly does. He's way better than Deni. Way better. Who else did you name?
Halliburton from Sacramento, I think.
Way better than Deni. Keep going.
Oh well, I got to go look it up now. NBA.
He's looking that up. You brought up the position for this. They're all small forwards. Another small forward that they have on here is they just drafted Corey Kispert as a small forward whose primary responsibility is scoring. So Trevor, as far as the scoring aspect, because you're right, they do need to go out and they need to find a scorer. And if it takes giving up Deni, I'm fine with that. I just don't know that Jerami Grant is the guy, although he has fairly decent stats when it comes to what they need, because we all know that Washington needs that outside shooting. 33% shooter from outside right now is Jerami Grant. So it's not exactly, he's not exactly going to be lighting up the scoreboard from outside. And so that part does worry me a little bit.
Well, that's probably better than Deni's. I don't know what Deni's shooting from outside.
Yeah,
not great.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
This part I'm not comparing to Deni. I'm saying getting a score, but we're talking about the small forwards here. You have a guy who you just drafted and is known as a 3-point percent shooter, shooting 32.7. Why not give Corey Kispert more minutes to give you that scoring opportunity?
I'm going to tell you why Deni gets a lot of minutes. Because last night he was guarding James Harden. You know who else he was guarding? Kyrie Irving. You know who else he was guarding? Patty Mills. He covers the team's best player. And while those players still get theirs, they don't go off. They don't go off. He took James Harden completely out of his game in the second half and locked him down. Now, Harden got a few points here and there, but that's why. And then he can play a big. He was guarding Ja Morant when they played Memphis. He guards big guys. He was guarding Jaren Jackson at times against Memphis because he is a defensive stalwart right now, and he might make all defensive team, not the first team, but I bet you he makes second or third team, all defensive team. Yeah, and that's you need guys like that.
Let me ask you a question.
You need guys like that.
Can I ask you a question?
Does Jerami Grant even have a shot at third team?
Let me ask you this question. I don't care about making all defensive teams. Okay. You have to make that with defensive stats. What are his defensive stats since his defense is so good?
Oh, I will bring them up, Trev, and you're going to be blown away. I tell you right now, he is probably top 10 in the entire NBA in defensive efficiency or whatever it is.
But he's still got to develop, so get rid of him. It's time to go.
But you need defensive guys as well.
Jeremy,
if you just said Jerami Jr. Grant, being a defensive-minded coach, I like.
You said Jerami Grant plays the same style as Deni, and he's a good defender as well. Is he taller than Deni?
He is a good defender.
Is he taller than Deni?
6'8" and 6'9", I think.
Yeah, 6'8" for Jerami Grant. I'm just telling you, 6'8", 210 for Jerami Grant, 6'9", 210 for Deni.
Yeah, they're the same size.
It's the NBA. It's time. You just get rid of him, bring in Jerami Grant, and you can make some more noise in the East right now because
I disagree.
It's time. I just don't.
All right, let's hear who's drafted. We'll get our final verdict here.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's hear. Let's settle whether or not he was drafted too high, and then we'll I can tell you our final verdict and close it out.
All right, so right ahead of him was Obi Toppin.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Before that was Killian Hayes.
Okay.
Say it. One of you two say it.
He's pretty good in Detroit.
Say it. No, one of you two say it. Say it, Nathan.
All right, what?
Say
time to feed the dog.
Time to feed the dog. That's what we'll say.
Yeah. Say what?
Who?
There you go. I knew he would do that.
It's easy to say if you don't watch college, but go ahead. Keep going.
I know we're not talking about college.
It's NBA.
If you didn't watch college, you might not know who they are in the draft, but go ahead.
Okongwu for the Hawks.
Yep.
He's a pretty good player. He's okay. He's not even a starter, though. Okay, he's a development man. He sits behind, what's the dude with the...
Yeah, Denny's not a starter.
Funky hair, the big guy, Clint Capella. Okay. He's behind him in Atlanta. Cool. So there's one. Okay. All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, he's balling for Cleveland right now. He's in Cleveland, and he's balling. What do you mean he's not? He be yamming on people every game, averaging like double digits. More points than
Patrick Williams.
You already know who that is. Chicago Bulls. He's hurt this year, but he's a Florida State stud. Very good down low. Keep going.
That's why he knows him, because he's the
he's a
Bulls. And
Bulls.
I said he was the Florida
he's
State. He's
quietly
an
a Bulls
ACC
fan.
as well. I'm also an
he's
ACC fan.
he's,
Keep going.
he's a big time Bulls fan. So
And then you've got
fan.
And then you've got two guys who are studs ahead of them. Of course, they're the top pick and the third pick. And then you've got James Wiseman for Golden State, who the jury's still out on him. He's hurt half the time, and he was in the developmental league last year for a period of time.
Because he's hurt.
And then you got LaMelo, and you got Anthony Edwards.
Who came after Deni to 15?
Jalen Smith, who was in the G League this year until he finally got called up because of what? Because of COVID and all these 10 days. And he finally got a call up.
Okay.
Ready? Devin Vassell.
Okay.
Say it, Trev. I want you to say it.
Exactly. Keep going. Denny's in the same category as Devin Vassell in my book.
Then you got Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
Then you got Kyra Lewis Jr.
Yeah.
Never heard of that dude.
Okay. Keep going.
Then you got Aaron Nesmith.
Keep going. So what you're saying is this draft is a wash after pick 7 is what you're saying.
Then you got Cole Anthony. He's not a wash.
Stud.
Right.
Better than Deni. Should have been.
And you got Isaiah Stewart. You got Precious Achua. You got Tyrese Maxey for the Sixers, who's a stud. RJ Hampton.
This is my point. This is my point.
Pritchard is the little white
This is my point. Deni was selected too high, bro. He should have been down there with all the rest of them, like in the top 20 or lower. 9 is a stretch for Deni, because before he was picked at 9, do you know who Deni was?
He was the best player in Europe before
draft night. Did you know that?
Or whatever.
Before draft night.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him.
Okay.
So I'd never heard of Luka Doncic either, but once he got his name called in the NBA, then you learned all about him.
I'm just saying Deni was picked too high, and that's why you think that since he was picked 9th, this Jerami Grant trade is not. Jerami Grant is equivalent to Deni, so Deni was picked too high.
Here's my final say on it, and I won't say any more.
Is this the pick or is this the trade?
I can't make that promise. Is this the pick or the trade? What now?
Yeah, your final say on the pick or the trade.
Everything.
Okay.
I watch every single Wizards game, every minute of every game.
You do.
And Deni Avdija is a valuable member of their team, and he is a part of their future, like Rui, like Kispert. Those last three draft choices, you don't just give them up to go from 9 to 6. You don't do it. And if they do it, it's foolish.
Well, out of those 3, Denny's the weakest link. And if they want to move one of those 3, Denny's got to go, which is what Tommy's doing. If Tommy picked him at 9 last year, and he's part of the future with Rui and Kispert, and he picked small forward in the same position as Deni, Kispert he can actually play a 2 if he really wants to, which is what he played in Gonzaga. You don't need Deni. You just said Kispert and Rui. Denny's the weakest link out of those 3. You move Deni. Because you don't move Rui to mortgage the future. Hell no. You don't move Kispert, who's outperforming Deni on the offensive side of the ball, which we need. So you get rid of Deni, the weakest link, and that's the bottom line. Because Trevor Story said so.
Hey, Trevor,
I wasn't going to put it all over my face, Stoner, of course.
Trev says yes.
Get out of here.
With Stoner on this one, I'm going to go no. You don't trade Deni for Jerami Grant. Trev,
okay.
Trev,
but
pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
I'm with you to a certain extent, only because we don't know what else is available. So that's why we're saying Jerami Grant.
I like Deni. Yeah, I like Deni, but I'm okay giving him up for a player. No, not for Jerami Grant, but for an impact player, a difference maker that's going like that. I think that will be best for the team in the future. I don't think Jerami Grant's that player. Me personally.
You guys define difference maker. What do you mean by like for real? What do you mean? Like he has to score a bunch, or his presence just has to be enough to make a difference?
Well, one, I want a difference maker. Again, I want somebody. So I brought up the 3-point shooting, right? So you have Beal, who's moved his game a little bit closer to the basket. as he's gotten older. Dinwiddie is a drive to the basket guy. So I think a difference maker for Washington in this case, because you can be a difference maker in a couple different ways. In this case, I think you need a difference maker that is more of a catch and shoot type guy, more of a person who's going to be more consistent on the outside, somebody who can be effective defending the wing. That's who I want to see. This is somebody who's a strong third option for Washington, who they don't necessarily. Well, Kuzma's been the third option. Well, really the second option, because Dinwiddie hasn't really been living up to expectations for the Wizards. But that's what I'm looking for in a difference maker. Kuzma's been a bright side for this season. But Deni for Jerami Grant, no. Deni for somebody else, I'm willing to talk about it. I want to know what you think. So leave down in the comments after you've done flaming me for my Jerami Grant takes. leave us your comment on whether or not you would trade Deni for Jerami Grant. Obviously not straight up. There's probably going to be a couple more packages into that deal. Yeah. But let us know what you think. And let us know, Trev threw it out there. Was Deni drafted too high?
Yeah.
Leave those in the comments. And, of course, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm Nathan. That's Trev. And that's Stoner. And we're Ref the District. And until next time, be a fan.